How's it going, everyone? Andy here from 4K Downtime, back at you with another video. So it's rumor time again, and this time is a rumor that technically has been going around for a very long time now. Like, many people have already talked about it in the past, but Wall Street Journal has reported that apparently there's going to be two new Switch models launching this year, and it's going to be as early as summer. Apparently, according to them, it's going to be two models. One is geared more towards the, I guess you could say, well, they say avid gamer, but I guess, like, you know, it's more the hardcore who wants a better system, who could perform better, and, like, you know, hopefully have better battery life. Basically take the basic Switch model and improve everything upon it. And the other one is considered, I guess you could say, a Switch Mini, which is going to replace the 3DS, because let's be very honest, the 3DS is really on its way out. I don't really think Nintendo's going to continue to support it next year. I think this year is really probably going to be the final year before they kill it off, because their sales last Christmas wasn't exactly great. It didn't set the world on fire or anything like that, so it's definitely going to be killed off, like, you know, real soon. Now, granted, like, you know, they did said, like, that one's casual friendly, but the way how it's been phrased, it does seem like, you know, very much it's going to be appealed to, like, you know, it's going to be a cheaper, more, like, you know, affordable version. Now, I do want to get this out here, is that from day one, even when the Switch was launched, I already kind of felt like a more powerful version is inevitable, because the thing is, obviously right now, the Switch is competing with the PS4 and the Xbox One, but going forward, it will compete with their next consoles, which in this case, it's Scarlet and PS5. And if Nintendo want to kind of like maintain, like, you know, that kind of competition, like, you know, competing with both of them, of course, I don't expect it to be on the same level in terms of power, but it needs to be like powerful enough to run at least, like, you know, a lot of the games that will be coming on to just PS5 and, like, you know, the Scarlet. Because if it can't, like, you know, run a lot of those games, chances are then the Switch will be left behind, and, like, you know, Nintendo will run into the same issue where, okay, third party are not supporting because your console simply isn't strong enough. And I don't think Nintendo really wants that, because right now they're getting a decent amount of, like, you know, supports from third party, especially for games that is coming out on all consoles, like Doom Eternal, like the next Wolfenstein, Mortal Kombat 11, etc. So they obviously want to kind of like maintain to have solid third party support even once PS5 and Xbox Scarlet is coming out. But with the current Switch, it might not be possible. So I always thought like releasing a more powerful model is to be expected. But this is where, like, I felt like Nintendo could potentially run into a very similar problem with the new 3DS as well. Because if you remember when they released the 3DS and the new 3DS model, the new 3DS model did have games that was only going to be for that model, which turns out it was Xenoblade Chronicles. And even then, because I was working that game back then, and I will occasionally get customers who were confused and didn't actually know yet that this game was only for the new 3DS when Xenoblade Chronicles actually came out. And I fear that if the same thing happens with the Switch Pro, it's probably going to, like, you know, cause a lot of confusion between, like, you know, people buying the games. Like, because again, we can't really, like, you know, just assume that every single person who goes and buy games would automatically know that, oh, okay, cool, so this one is for the Pro and this one isn't. And I just kind of felt like Nintendo don't want to, like, you know, delve into that kind of, like, you know, messaging problem again, because sure, they could always put things like, you know, oh, only compatible with this version, or, like, you know, change the box color or whatsoever. But I think ideally you don't really want to do that. You don't want certain third-party games to come out and only be available to one of the models and not the other two. So unless they were able to kind of, like, you know, okay, we're going to get this, we're going to get X game, and it's going to run on all of them, but this is just so happened to run the best on the Pro version, much like, you know, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. Because the only reason why Sony and Microsoft was able to get away with releasing those is because there wasn't a single game that was only exclusive or only playable in those two models. Like, you know, they're compatible with everything. And I think the Switch needs to make sure that's going to be the case if they do release the Pro version. As for, like, you know, the Mini, again, it made sense because Nintendo need a 3DS successor. And when it comes to a more casual friendly version, my only guess is that pretty much what a lot of people have already pointed out is that dockless, and it's most likely the Joy-Cons will not be detachable. But the only problem, again, I can see with this one is that then technically speaking, the word Switch doesn't really make sense then. And when consumers are actually buying your product, again, they might be a bit confused when you have like, okay, 3 models, and this particular model, okay, it doesn't do the unique features of what your console like, is supposed to do. And this could potentially like, mess up their marketing as well, the way how they market the console. So if you can't like, dock it and you can't detach the Joy-Cons, you gotta basically like, I don't know, make another ad campaign for it. Or the only thing I can see is like, maybe they could do something similar to Google Chromecast, like, have a dongle that you can attach to your TV and then stream your like, game through the monitor. Something maybe similar to that. But who knows, when it comes to reports like this, usually I just take it with a grain of salt. Again, it's not that this is unbelievable or anything like that. From day one, I always knew that there was going to be a much more stronger Switch model, and I always thought like they need a successor to the 3DS. So in terms of like, the information provided at the moment, they all fall in line with what I would expect would happen. But is it really going to come out during summer? That's what I really don't know. Especially like, something like this has been hinted for pretty much since the Switch launch and everything. And I just kind of go like, you know what? It's a matter of time, but is it going to be this summer? We're just going to have to wait and see. But of course, guys, let us know what you think. Thank you so much for watching as usual. This is Andy from 4K Downtime signing off. Have a good one.